Hello, Parsons Collab Design for Literacy Students. This is Marcos, and this is our week 14 going to week 15 recap briefing video. We're getting very close to the end of the semester. We've got 2 more weeks left to go, and we got 1 more week to finish our audiovisual books. So I'm going to give you a quick recap on what's due and how to get that completed and talk a little bit about our final class. But first, I want to share a quick preview, as I did in class, of our storybooks which came into my office. They were shipped. Everyone's book is complete and looking great. And I'm just so impressed and proud and thankful to all you guys for putting in so much heart, effort into making these books as nice as they are now. I'm going to be so excited to share them with you on our last day of class when you come into my office for our final review sessions with our various guest judges. And you'll have your hands on this book. You'll have your also your storybook or your baby board books, which you've seen, and you'll have your digital books finished. And all three of those will be part of your final review session and will be a great time for everybody. So let's get some context for where we are on the schedule here. So we're down to 3 more weeks. We're finishing. That's actually two, with 14 is ending now. We're going to week 15. It's going to be our audiovisual storybook part 3, production, design completion, where your audiovisual book will need to have sound, motion, be a complete MP4 or a almost complete if you want to. There might be some revisions after our class, but showcase. Each of you are to show your audiovisual book working with sound, motion, and all the bells and whistles. So have that ready. Spend this week working on making each of your storybooks as good as possible. Everyone's got a great start. And as I said in class, now it's a matter of like fine tuning the details, being particular, being specific, being picky about how your narration goes, making sure there's little nuances everywhere as needed, and making the experience as good as possible from a visual and a sound perspective. And be ready to get some feedback. So you might have to do some fine tuning after that because you'll have 1 more week to both finalize it if you need to, your audiovisual books, and then prepare your final presentations for our meeting here at my office, where each of you will have a deck that has each of your 3 projects consolidated in one deck. You'll have your 2 books, and your audiovisual book will be on your deck itself. And you'll be required to be able to talk through and introduce the concept of each of your books, go through your process quickly, and then showcase the result, both the physical copy that you'll share with the judge or the digital one that you'll watch with them. So start thinking about that. But for now, it's about getting your audiovisual book done. And a couple things to remember, or for me to remind you of: you'll be making MP4s as a finished piece, and the MP4, like on the right here, will have just your pure finished product. But you'll also be making a mock-up, like on the left here, like in Figma, where you'll show the interface of the app come up that has your text in there and go away and then come up at the end maybe. So remember that. And when you turn this in, I want to make sure you don't turn in your final files with the interface of the app embedded in there. I don't want that because that's going to be in the interface itself. And I also might want to showcase it as a story or a reel in Instagram or something. So I don't want the interface to be stuck into that. So make sure you do that. And when you do submit final files, I'm going to want all your source files in case we have to do some adjustments. But we'll talk about that for next week. And then with your narration, I want to play through a couple examples here. But with your narration, I want to make sure that you're either using your own voice, if applicable, or you're using friends, or you're using AI. If you use AI, just make sure, I know there's limited choices when you don't pay for subscription. So be as picky as possible and work AI as well as you can to make that sound good. You might want to just stick with humans though, so don't think like you have to do that. Now, when you're doing the narration, when you're setting up your text, when at the beginning of each story and at the end of each story, when this interface is up and showing here from the app, I want everybody's narration to begin with the title, with the narrator saying the title of the book. If there's a subtitle like a Korean folk tale or whatever, if you have like a subtitle to go with it, and then retold and illustrated, adapted and designed by your name. If your narrator is you, then add that to your credit narrated, illustrated design by your name. If it's a friend, then have that be the second thing, narrated by your friend after your credit. If it's AI, don't bother putting any credit for it. Just stick to your credit of your written, designed, whatever you have. And then the story begins after the cover title changes. And then I want the same thing at the very end. I want you to repeat the title, repeat the credits at the very end. So let me play the front end of this and the back end of this so you can see what I mean, how it works.
We like to move. Written and illustrated by Malavika Srinivasan. Narrated by Kirtana Srinivasan. Take your hands and clap, clap, clap.
All right, so there you saw that it was introduced with the name, with the credits. In this case, it was actually the student's mother who was doing the narration, so she had her name as a narrator. And then at the very end, it ends with the same thing.
We like one next to you, a little kiss. We like to move. Written and illustrated by Malavika Srinivasan. Narrated by Kirtana Srinivasan.
Okay, so yeah, so that's how that works. Here's another example.
Story, illustration, and narration by Liza Griffin. Once upon a
So here you can tell that the sound is not quite, volume is not up enough. So make sure you're sensitive about that. But she did go and say her name of her title and the credits, and then she began talking about the story. And then at the very end, she'll do the same.
danced happily ever after. The end. The Dancing Dachshund. Story, illustration, and narration by Liza Griffin.
Okay, so again, make sure your volume is nice and high and make sure you balance when you have your background sounds. If you have music or if you have sound effects, that you control the volume. If it needs to be a crash, make it loud. But if it's in the background, don't let the background music or the background sound effects drown out the voice, unless it's for some reason appropriate. So yeah, so
Waiting on the Moon,
this is
a
another
traditional
example.
Chinese tale, retold and illustrated by Leo Lee, narrated by Rob.
Okay, so narrated by Rob. That Rob is the AI voice. So let's not give credit to a non-human like that. So this would have been better if he just said uh, retold and illustrated by Leo Lee and just left it at that. And then at the end did the same
Their
thing.
reunion. This tradition became known as the Mid-Autumn Festival, held on the 15th day of the 8th month on the lunisolar calendar. Waiting on the Moon, a traditional Chinese tale, retold and illustrated by Leo Lee, narrated by Rob.
Yeah, and again, that a traditional Chinese folk tale, fairy tale is a nice touch too. So if you've got that part of your story, add that into it. Um, so I think we don't have to watch anymore. So okay, so the part three assignment is on Canvas. Like part two, I've got the link to the Figma template, and the Figma template's there for you to use if you're comfortable in Figma or you don't have any other skills. And there's a tutorial, both a video tutorial and a PDF tutorial that you can have access to on the links are right there in the assignment, or they're also on the Google Drive under class resources and then under Dirt Audio Book Mockup Tutorials. So that's all, the movie and the PDF is there for anime instructions, anima instructions. And again, this is where you can utilize the flag or the drawer that comes up and down and put your type in there. You guys have already been doing this, so I think it seems like you guys are understanding what's needed. And again, make sure you output the final version that you're going to turn into me as an MP4 without the mock-up part of it in it. Okay, so there's also the library of past projects in the resources folder as well. You can watch that if you need to check out how people did things. Remember, not all of them are perfect. Okay, and at last, I think you should have gotten or you will be getting a class evaluation survey email where you go through and take a quick survey and give your feedback on the class, both by scoring points and making comments. So I really ask that each of you go through this and in a thoughtful way, quick but thoughtful way, give your feedback. I love getting the comments and reading the comments, and it's also helpful if there's suggestions on feedback on how things of the class could have been a better experience to write them there. But also tell me directly too. Don't feel like you got to write it on the survey. But you feel free to write it on the survey and give feedback because I really want to be as good as a teacher as I can, and I rely on hearing back from each of my class sessions from each of my students to know what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong, so I can adjust it and make a better and better class. But don't mind if you wait until the very last day of class and then give your feedback, because I almost prefer you have the full experience of the class where you see, and our last session will be together and we'll be at my office and you'll be meeting new people and presenting your books, and it's going to be like a really good experience, and you're going to feel um, that all the investment you've put into the class, into all the time that you did in each project, and the choice that you made as a career was the right choice because you're going to get validation that you know what you're doing and that you're great at it. So when those come around, make sure I want to get 100% responsive. All 14 of you can reply. That's my goal. Okay, so that's it. Back to work, everybody. Have a great weekend and have a great week. And we're going to meet in class one last time to review our MP4 together. And then one more week after that, we'll meet here at my office for finals. So let's run through the finish line. No slowing down. It's still a time for suffering. It's still a time for pain. Get through it. Make sure it's as great as possible. This is your one chance to make a great piece, another great piece for your portfolio. So let's do it together. Reach out to me if you need any feedback. See you guys next week.